It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Yeah, we're not afraid, but it's not like we don't have a lot of reasons to be afraid. You know, this is Jack Gregson is an economic columnist and reporter for Freedom's Phoenix. You see a lot of his stuff up there, so he's kind of got a beat on it, and he's got a lot of fans. And I tell you, I got to meet your wife at a party a couple weeks ago, and that's the first time I've met her. I've known you for years, and she's really people actually read what he puts up? Seriously? You know, and I'm going, you have no idea, you know, so you're never a prophet in your own land, you know. But the one thing that the last hour I was building up to is I want to tell the story of the popsicle stick. I'll get that in the next segment, and Jack has to leave because I don't want to distract from his time. But the whole concept is I really like the movie Inception. A lot of people didn't, you know, like when you saw Matrix the first time, like, what? I went and saw it again that afternoon or the next day. I go, did I see what I think I saw, you know? And Inception was kind of the same way, and I got it on Blu-ray. It was on sale for whatever, and I haven't watched it again yet. I just saw it a couple times in the theaters. But the concept is real simple. Well, it's kind of a complicated movie. You got to pay attention, man. It's one of those you're not going to the bathroom. Because what the idea is that if at a fundamental base age or experience or trauma or just your training or whatever as a young person or something happens to you when you're a teenager or whatever, that changes the way you perceive the world. If you have a certain base concept that is a truism to you, it will change every single decision you make for the rest of your existence. 14-year-olds and younger make up 33% of the population in Egypt. 4% of the people in Egypt are over 65. Compare that with the United States. The median age is 24. What happens when you go to millions of people? That's the cultural hub of an entire culture, Arabic culture that spreads across the Middle East, while the CIA, MI6, Western powers, central banks of, corporations de la fill in the blank, all these guys are jockeying to get their own controls and new promises they're going to make to the people for a better life. And you know what it is? It's just a livestock management tool upgrade number 15 point whatever. The oldest culture, you know, if not the oldest, one of the oldest, Cairo, land of the pharaohs, thousands of years ago, building enormous pyramids. You think there hasn't been somebody rule you there forever? Human history documented, one after another. Is it time for the concept of you own yourself? What impact will that have? I can venture a guess, but I tell you, it's not going to be what the big bad guys want. They want your allegiance. They want your compliance. They want your pledge. I pledge allegiance since I'm in kindergarten, too. You think this is an accident? What is the promise? Protect the rights of individual. Oh, no. You need to be part of the collective. Get on the plantation, starting with the Constitution. So when we get, you know, Cato still hasn't sent. I haven't got him. I got to send Sierra. Email Cato right now and find out where those Arabic translations are. Thanks, baby. Because I want to know, they were supposed to be here last week. When they found out I was going to, cut out an angle, the Constitution, leave the Bill of Rights and Declaration of Independence translated. Constitution, no, it's not working for us. I'm going to say this is the kind of plan you should have. Heck no. And I want it obvious that I cut it out. So, this is, you see what I mean? The battle's up here. What comments you got, Jack?
Well, you were talking about the movie Inception and how traumatic events can affect you for the rest of your life and your thinking. And you were talking about young people. I'll give you one. I've mentioned to a couple people associated with Freedom's Phoenix, but I've never told you on the air. When I was 13, just short of my 14th birthday, it was Halloween, 1967. I lived in an extremely wealthy neighborhood, very Republican neighborhood, very conservative.
You got real size candy bars.
Yeah, and it was a subdivision of 3,000 houses surrounded by an 8-foot high used brick fence. And the used bricks were 100 years old. It was an establishment neighborhood in North Orange County. It was called Seal Beach Rossmore, and it's still a very establishment neighborhood to this day. And it was Halloween, and we were out trick-or-treating. And I just thought it was going to be a normal night. I didn't realize that it was going to change the rest of my life. And how I viewed government, how I viewed myself, how I viewed the police, how I viewed the use of power. And what happened is a couple teenagers who were just a year older than I was, they were 9th graders, I was in 8th grade, and they decided to rock a couple cars going by on Montecito. And it was probably about 8 o'clock at night. It was dark, and they rocked a couple cars. They didn't
throw rocks at them.
No, just rocked them.
What's that mean?
Just kind of move the fender up and down in the front.
Oh, so they're just standing there trying to just playing with them. Whatever.
Yeah, just playing with them. And I knew these guys because they lived like 2 doors down from me, and they were harmless. But they were just mischievous that night, and they decided to have a little fun. Well, I watched this along with about 200 other youths my age, and we were about 7th or 8th grade and younger. And all of a sudden, 4 paddy wagons rolled up. And out of the back of the paddy wagons jumped probably about 80 police officers with nightsticks.
So they were waiting for something to happen on Halloween, huh?
Oh, they weren't waiting. They came running. No,
I mean, they were prepared, waiting for some Halloween excuse to go respect our authority or something.
Yeah, so they wanted to respect their authority, and they came at us with nightsticks, and we were middle schoolers. And they came running. There was no order to disperse. There was no order to stop. There was nothing. They just came running, and they were aiming for our heads. And they were going to aim for my friend's head. In fact, they were. And I was a very good athlete, and I was probably in the top 5%. I know that for a fact, as far as athletes back then. And so I saved my friend's head by cursing at the police officer and telling him to come get me. Come get me. You're never going to catch me. And so he came running after me. I jumped over a hedge. He missed. He fell down. And I saved my friend's head, and I never looked back.
So they were wanting to set an example on little kids.
Yeah, this was 3 years after.
So this had what kind of impact did this have on you? I mean, you're going, wow, what?
I mean, you think about it, 1967. Okay, it was 3 years after the Watts riot. I had seen that on TV. I lived close to where it happened. We could see the smoke coming up from it, from our house. And we had a relative who had to come by and stay for 2 weeks with his wife because the area around their house was unsafe. And so it was a very tense time. But the thing is, this was 1967. It was the love generation. You had hippies. You had the Vietnam War. And the government was really starting to stomp on people that were against the war. And so they were going to set an example of little middle schoolers. And from that point on, I have questioned authority. And shortly after I questioned the war, I knew that we would never win the Vietnam War because we were going up against a people that were fighting for their homeland, and we were never going to win.
When we come back, I'm going to show you a clip on YouTube of machine gunning down some activists in Bahrain. YouTube, here it comes, dead bodies in the street. And also, if you don't want to see it, avert your eyes on YouTube now.